Hey there everyone, my name's Gray. This is Consoletronix, where I once more wade waist deep in the often murky world of retro compilations. But having largely enjoyed the time I spent with my review of Midway Arcade Treasures 1 on the PS2 a few years back, I thought a quick goosey at its follow-up was in order. But this time it's not just obscure 80s titles we're looking at, but some 90s arcade action that's being served up. So, let's dig in. Like many who grew up in the 16-bit era, I too got caught up in the Mortal Kombat craze surrounding the arcade and later home ports of the first game. Street Fighter II Turbo on the SNES may have been my favourite fighting game, but something about the digitised graphics, gore and the finishing moves that felt like you needed a PhD from Cape Canaveral to pull off just made Mortal Kombat feel unique. So the inevitable As Day Follows Night sequel had to deliver, and boy oh boy, did it ever. Still short of Street Fighter 2 on just about every metric, but an all-round excellent game that still holds up. Although there's something I'd long forgotten about this game, and that's that I've always been shit at it.
Roger, Chief.
Knock for me was always one of those games I knew of by reputation only. Similar to Sly Spy, which I also played for the very first time on a compilation recently. Numerous home computer ports of decent quality, and I think there's a NES conversion knocking about also, but the arcade original has certainly left a favourable impression on yours truly with its OTT shoot 'em up action. Good stuff. For a sequel to such a high-profile original like Spy Hunter, which was ported to just about every 8-bit system there was, I must say I was very perplexed to hear that this 1987 sequel never left the arcades. But then I played it, and I realised it was one best left forgotten. But let's keep the sequel theme going with another lauded 80s arcade whose many sequels and spin-offs always failed to rouse much interest in gamers. Although Gauntlet IV on the Mega Drive I remember liking very much for a bit. But what of the first of the franchise's many follow-ups, Gauntlet II? Well, it's trademark top-down Gauntlet gallivanting around dungeons again, only there's more of it. What more do you want? I've gone on record many times in the past to say I love Smash TV, so it goes without saying that its spiritual successor, Total Carnage, would be well received here at Consoletronix HQ, although it feels like I was the only one, as the game came and went very quickly. A tidy SNES port kept me quiet, especially in 2 players with some friends round, and a rumoured Mega Drive version was supposedly in development before being canned. But given a chance, it's a nutty shoot 'em up with plenty of sparkle still in it. Well, I'm definitely getting my money's worth out of this compilation, I suppose, as we have another game I've never played, despite the many opportunities presented to me to try the Mega Drive version, but not being into driving games, I never bothered. So what's my first impressions of this early 3D racing sim? Well, I got nowhere dukes of hazarding it, but I enjoyed it even if it does run as fast as Nikado Avocado. I haven't uploaded a video for a few weeks, I said to myself. I know, instead of cherry picking a couple of games for a few cheap laughs, why don't I shove all 20 games on this disc? Believe me, I went into this video with the best intentions, but now you have to suffer as I suffered while playing this codswallop. This is Championship Sprint, which made me think of Supercars 2 when I started, but by the end I was thinking some very unsettling thoughts indeed. A sports game? Oh, I don't care at this point. Anything's preferable to that last rubbish. This is Arch Rivals, the forerunner to NBA Jam. And guess what? I've heard of it, but but never played it. Although at this point many of you must be wondering if I've ever played a video game before. But while sports titles fall some way down the pecking order on my list of games to play, this one is a bit of a laugh, as violence is very much encouraged. Good stuff.
I need a wizard explorer.
Remind me, what did I say in the opening of this video? Something about leaving the 80s behind and walking into the bright lights of the 90s? Because not for the first time, I think I'm going to look pretty stupid after this. What you're looking at is called Wizards of What? And was seemingly a big deal when first released in 1980. Yes, 1980. But in all seriousness, it's actually a bit of old school fun that also had a few well thought of 8-bit ports for various Atari machines and the Commodore 64. Crikey, oh blimey, I found a 90s game, and one of which many of you will recognise. It's the monster meets dinosaur duff 'em up, Primal Rage, that blew up in the arcades in the mid-90s and was ported to literally everything. Even past their prime systems like the Jaguar and 32X got ports. And Atari weren't shy in trying to milk the much needed success with toy lines, novels and a comic series. But the promised sequel never materialised after Atari's demise, despite work on it nearing completion, which is a shame as this was a franchise with real potential. Zybots, a game I got quite into when I picked up a Lynx some years ago, so I was curious to see the arcade original up and running. And it has to be said, the Lynx was, and still is, a hugely underrated machine. Oh bloody hell! I thought the whole point of compilations such as this was to showcase the best your respective company had to offer to new audiences who missed them first time around, because there's more filler here than a Ronseal warehouse. Pit Fighter was an early digitised fighting game and traded on that gimmick, because the game itself is cack, and the fact that they put it on the same disc as Mortal Kombat 2 is embarrassing.
I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I sleep all night and I work all day.
He's a lumberjack and he's okay. He sleeps all night and he works all day.
I cut down trees, I eat my lunch, I go to the lavatory.
I said I was going to look at every game and by God I meant it, but having played Pit Fighter for longer than was medically recommended, my hopes weren't high when firing up this one. Timber, an arcade exclusive tree chopping simulator, and despite its oddball premise, its surprisingly well animated pick up and play gameplay has raised my chipper as it were, and has given me a second wind because I know sod all about the next game up. And truthfully, I still don't. It's called Wacko. You shoot all manner of creatures to win points and prestige. Oh, you have to match them. Okay, now it makes a lot more sense. It's still shit, but comprehensible shit. Now here's what makes it all worthwhile. After rummaging round this collection containing top tier titles like the Mortal Kombat sequels to utter swill like Championship Sprint, it's the games you've never heard of but that end up captivating you with their gameplay that you search high and low for. And in APB, I think I found a winner. I think I remember seeing a review for this for the Lynx in a magazine one time, but took little interest. But what a game. Out of all the games I've looked at so far, this one is maybe tied to Mortal Kombat 2. It's that much fun.
Welcome to Cyberball.
We're in the final stretch now, folks. Just a couple of more games to get through. First up is the arcade exclusive sequel to popular futuristic gridiron sim Cyberball, Cyberball 2072. Haven't got a Scooby-Doo what's going on, but I think I scored a touchdown. Speedball, this isn't, but it looks like a decent game, all things considered. When I asked someone I know if they'd heard of an arcade game called Xenophobe, they said it was a James Cameron's Aliens-inspired shooter, so suddenly I wanted to play it. And bloody hell, I haven't been so let down since Ghostbusters 2. Avoid! I've been a massive fan of the Rampage series since playing the very first game on the Master System many years ago, all the way up to Rampage Total Destruction on the PS2. But I probably put more hours into Rampage World Tour on the Saturn than I care to admit to, as you pick your monster of choice and smash, crash and bash everything in sight. Does get samey and repetitive, but with a second player, great fun. Now I'll be the first to congratulate Midway or any company that look to preserve their back catalogue and the wider history of gaming by releasing titles that never left the arcades for one reason or another in compilations such as this. It's just, well, I can't shake the feeling that the bottom of the barrel was well and truly raked to dig this one up. This is Cosmic Cruiser from 1982, which beggars the question, why this over, say, Strike Force or even War Gods? Very strange. So there we have it. Thought I'd bookend this video with Mortal Kombat 3, a game I read a lot about in magazines, but didn't play until picking up Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 on the Saturn. Now, Midway were deliberately stingy with what's included in this compilation because Midway Arcade Treasures 3 would be released a year later in 2005, and this time they wouldn't pad out the selection, instead serving up about half a dozen top titles, although admittedly I think they're all driving games. But if you enjoyed this video or would like to see me look at part 3, let me know. So thank you very much for watching, and until the next time, goodbye.